Hi, I'm Rhys Lawton, and this is Mainscream Media, watching the mainstream news so you don't have to. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. So let's batten down the hatches, because, well, we've got nothing better to talk about. The mainstream media got its wish. War in Europe. Take your pick. Everything from a full-on Ukraine invasion to an attack to an incursion to a special military operation, depending on who you're following. Bad news all round, especially for those on the ground. Either way, it's what all the outlets were waiting for, and CNN got there first.
Oh, I tell you what, I just heard a big bang right here behind me. I thought we shouldn't have done the live shot here. There are big explosions taking place in Kiev right now. I can't see where they're taking place from this vantage point here on top of the roof of the hotel in central Kiev. And I can't explain what they are.
Yes, a bit too early. The whole can't see, don't know thing. Did you hear that? Well, wait 20 minutes. Anyway, great primetime warmongering from the US networks. The UK kinda missed it. Bloody time difference. And bloody crown jewels. Not the real ones either, some from a telly show. As well as bloody students and bloody woke spies. But it didn't miss the bit where we declared war on Russia. Yes, that's right. At least the Defence Secretary seems to think so.
So the Scots Guards kicked the backside of Tsar Nicholas I in 1853 in Crimea. We can always do it again.
Yeah, gave him a right good going over, didn't we? 150 years ago. Remember it well. Was Michael Caine in that one? Proper gung-ho reaction too from the papers. Nice one, Ben. Stick it to them. Are you sure about this? I thought it was about Russia and Ukraine. No, Ben seems to think it's him and Putin this time. Fuck off, Biden. You're always late. Don't make me torch the White House again. Back in reality, got to sanction Russia. Everyone agrees, right? Kind of. Didn't start well. Joe Biden announced a boycott. Of Russia? No, the Donbass region. How much business you doing there, Joe? Germany said it wouldn't be using that gas pipeline it isn't using. And Boris Johnson, well, he sanctioned 5 banks and 3 blokes. They won the world's worst lottery. It probably isn't you. But it might be soon. Look at this lot. We know what we're doing, don't we? Do we? I mean, they? Speaking of cash...
Your party's received nearly £2 million from donors with Russian links since Boris Johnson became Prime Minister. And ministers who've benefited from that money include Dominic Raab, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Chancellor Rishi Sunak, and 5 other MPs who are attending Cabinet as well, around that current Cabinet table. How damaging is that for the government at the moment?
Every donation to any political party has to be fully declared.
Well, that's all right then, as long as it's all declared. Maybe we can rebrand it. We've confiscated that Russian cash, stored it in the party coffers. Meanwhile, the Labour leader was the first in with the whole let's pull the plug on the RT telly channel. Again. Yes, RT's the real problem. Must have been a bit of a shock to all his MPs and his own head of strategy who go on it. What does he think this is, Soviet Russia? Can't do that, said, Boris, actually. A government shutting down a broadcaster over the head of the independent regulator Ofcom isn't a great look when we're trying to be the good guys. Of course, a government putting pressure on the regulator would be just as bad, especially when your culture secretary's Nadine Dorries, who seems a bit conflicted. Written to Ofcom, saying with one breath that she respects its independence, but with another urging timely action. Whatever that means... I think we all know, actually. Why not just blame Jeremy Corbyn again instead? Yes, much better. He hasn't been leader for over 2 years, but imagine how much worse it would be if he was, because he might have done something really shit. Hard to imagine what, like not selling arms to both sides. But anyway, what's going on isn't enough, is it? Not for the media. Despite the Ukrainian president explicitly telling everyone to tone down the rhetoric, the BBC got a former NATO boss to ramp it up a bit. A lot.
Nuclear blackmail, nuclear thinking is integrated into every aspect of defense doctrine or military doctrine. So we have to assume the worst in that case.
A nuclear holocaust. Much better. The greatest fear of the Cold War is back. Yes, let's run with that. Here's the Mirror telling us how much of the UK could be destroyed if Putin launches a nuclear strike on the capital. Because, well, there isn't enough news this week, is there? Let's wargame it. The government will be happy at least. Nothing like a bit of fear-mongering to get everyone lining up behind King Boris. Putin's got over 6,000 nukes, hasn't he? Gosh, Thanks for reminding us, The Mirror. Let's not get carried away, though, shall we? Yes, let's. The paper's been busy looking at an online thing called Nuke Map. Just enter your location, the size of the bomb, where it's detonated, and watch as the devastation unfolds. Go on, bit of fun, like on election night, but with a lot more screaming and dying. Just one strike, says the paper, could mean almost 1 million could die, over 2 million injured. Think of the nuclear winter, all the way from Enfield to Croydon. Just a sec. Aren't you the same paper that also told us that London's where all that Russian cash is? Lots of property too. Won't be worth much if they nuke it. I think someone hasn't thought this through. OK, you've got us, says the Mirror. Although, maybe they'll go for somewhere else. No, please, just yes, says the Mirror. What about dropping an even bigger bomb, like this one we've Googled, the Tsar Bomber on Birmingham? Might happen. 2.4 million dead, felt as far away as Leicester and Nottingham too. What fun. Everyone really shitting themselves now? Almost like we're there on the ground in Ukraine. To be honest, the closest we might get to this is if the hacks themselves have a massive bomb at Mirror Towers they've been keeping for a special occasion. Oh, and look, the hysteria's catching. The Daily Record has got the modelling for a strike on Scotland for you, just in case. In case what? But well done, you news hounds. Anything for a bit of copy. COVID's over! Huzzah! A massive week for the PM. Time to get rid of all the rules, if you're still following them, unlike this guy.
And after two of the darkest, grimmest years in our peacetime history, I do believe this is a moment of pride for our nation.
Yes, what a result! All a month earlier than planned. First in Europe to get rid of the virus. Not quite, just first to ditch all the safety stuff. Too nuanced, though. Hooray, said the cheerleaders. Freedom! Finally out of this. We've got our country back from those bloody Ramonas. I think that's right. Except we've still got 100 or so deaths and tens of thousands of cases every single day. Is it over? Ask the guy next to Boris.
You can celebrate when the sun's shining, but take your umbrella with you.
Is the umbrella a COVID test or a mask? Or an actual brolly? Maybe it's a code. Careful, Dmitri, don't blow your cover. Seems a bit more cautious, but what does he know? He's only the head of MI6. I mean, the chief scientific advisor. Sorry, Dmitri. Anyway, fuck him, whatever his real name is. The plan. Pretending COVID doesn't exist. Oh, sorry, that bit's been crossed out. Here it is. Living with COVID. How to live alongside a deadly and highly contagious disease. Scrap free tests, get rid of that whole isolation thing, just pretend it doesn't exist. I mean, live with it.
People should still, if they have COVID, try to prevent other people getting it, and that means self-isolating.
Great stuff. None of that talking in riddles like the other one. Problem, how will you know if you've got it?
People won't know if they've got COVID or not, will they, from the 1st of April?
They won't. They won't. Without a test, of course, you won't know.
Yes, if you want one, you'll have to pay for one. Unless you read the Mail. Free tests extended! But only if you read the headline, not the article. They're only extended until April the 1st. Maybe it's a joke. When they're not. Bit like scrapping them, but sounds better. Better get stockpiling. Look at the shameless hoarders trying to make sure they don't have COVID. And isolating. Well, you can still do it if you like. Don't have to, though.
The Prime Minister talks about specifically ending the law that's in place that actually otherwise would have run till near the end of March. And that law will come to an end.
Yes, the law, which means they can also slash sick pay again. Good luck convincing your boss you've got it without a test. And good luck being able to afford to stay home. Of course, money solves both. It's one rule for those at the top, another for the rest. Yet again. No, says the PM, it's about personal responsibility now, says the man who was taken to court to acknowledge his kids. You decide what's best.
I wouldn't go out with someone who wasn't vaccinated.
Good advice, and Mr. Emily Thornberry will be happy too. Hope he's had the jab. Yes, take care of yourselves and each other, says Boris, like some kind of post-apocalyptic Jerry Springer. But do all that without any of the tools to do it. Oh, and don't bother with masks either. Or that pesky COVID passport app we forced you to download, you mugs. Just delete it. Oh, some venues can still use it if they want, so maybe don't. OK then, all very sudden. None of that phasing stuff out, maybe see if relaxing a few things has an impact. Almost like there's something else massive we're missing. Try Business Minister Paul Scully.
We don't work and live under government diktat for a moment longer than is necessary.
Sure, Paul, but the timing. What's special about this week rather than next or last or 6 months' time? Oh, I've remembered. We've got a PM who could be about to get fined by the cops for breaking his own diktat. The whole having parties in number 10 while the rest of us were under house arrest thing. Had to fill in a form about it? Were you at a party? Why? Who else was there? Go on, dub 'em in. So ditch the rules before that all hits the fan. Then we can say Boris got a fixed penalty notice, if he does, under the previous regime. The bad old days. We all hated them, didn't we? Changing the narrative to do what you like might take the heat out of the PM doing what he liked. A bit. See if it works. Of course, there is another way if it comes to a fine. Boris could go. Europe Minister James Cleverly drew the short straw on this one.
Will he resign if he gets one?
Well, I don't think what the country needs at the moment is a vacuum at the centre of government.
I think he thinks we don't have one of those already. Either that or they're worried old Henry Hoover's muscling in. To be honest, I'd be happy for him to have a go. Especially since Freedom Week almost went tits up on day one. A row between two old rivals meant the big announcement almost wasn't. Of course, it was all about cash. Tests cost money. Rishi Sunak didn't want to pay for them. The guy he replaced, his old boss Sajid Javid, now at Health, thought tests were vital. Or rather, didn't fancy being blamed when COVID gets out of control again. There are free tests for the oldest and most vulnerable, so your nan might be able to get one. Great. Except now the grandkids could have the COVID, not know it, meet up with her, and you guessed it, give her COVID. And speaking of Nan getting COVID, the nation's favourite one did just that. Liz had it confirmed on Sunday, so by Wednesday... No, not the unthinkable.
Breaking news, Buckingham Palace says the Queen still has mild cold-like symptoms.
Oof! Breaking news, still got it. Same again tomorrow? But a bit harder to pretend all's OK, COVID's over when Mrs Stamps and Money herself has it. Get well soon, Mum. Or not. There's the Sun also starting the week badly, getting her title wrong. No, she's not Her Royal Highness, that's for the princes and princesses. You know, like His Royal Highness Prince Andrew. Wait, no, not him. I think there's some reason that he doesn't get to use it. Anyway, all that's the least of anyone's worries when there's a virus running riot, older people are getting it, and no one knows about it. Kind of where we came in 2 years ago. Good luck, everyone. Back to lockdown, wasn't it? Schools shut, trains cancelled, work from home. Just a couple of days, don't worry. You know, the weather. All-consuming. Not the weather, though it was a bit much. The coverage. Finding new and interesting ways of saying it's going to be quite wet and quite windy. Like yesterday. Red alert! The the worst storm of the century. And it's coming for you, you little Jimmy. Watch out!
The UK braces itself as Storm Eunice is set to hit tomorrow morning, with the Met Office issuing its strongest possible weather warning, a threat to life.
The warnings to us all tonight are clear, explicit and serious. The storm due to hit tomorrow could be the worst in 30 years, we are told, so please be extremely careful.
Yeah, sod the actual headlines. Straight to the comment. Do exactly what I say. Maybe because the actual headline was the weather forecast and it looks a bit shit to start with that. Great telly, though. The kind of brilliant footage the mainstream loved. Bit like the TARDIS or something out of Mary Poppins. Unfortunately found to be from last June. Ah, well. Not just that, though. Plenty more. A giant tent got ripped. A tree came down in Cornwall. That bloke who used to be on Towie had a nightmare with his fence. But the mainstream also had a new hero. A new kid on the block. Big Jet TV. A YouTube channel run by planespotter Jerry Dyer. Spends his time, well, filming and commentating on planes landing. Bit dull most of the time. Epic in these conditions. Let's roll.
Easy. Easy, easy, easy. Go on, son. Oh, OK, tippy toe. Is it too cold? Yeah! Big swing, man!
Everyone was obsessed. Got a bit repetitive, if I'm honest, and then got a bit dark when everyone realised they were just waiting for a massive crash. The mainstream got jealous, because it was much more exciting than anything it was doing. So, let's interview Big Jet Jerry.
I can't believe it, you know, and just
And you got
telling
to, what, 200,000 viewers at one point?
238,000 live viewers at one point.
They dream of that at GB News, I'll tell you that.
Meow. But also true. Nick, you lefty rascal, where's that BBC balance gone? It's okay, I'll do it. That pic of you with the Deputy Leader of Britain First. No, he's not far right either. He just didn't ask who she was. Back to the planes. Maybe don't get on one, but if you did, call in. Was it scary? How scary? Yes, call in. We'll have a bit of sexist banter. Sorry, is that right?
How was the landing, Mario?
It was brilliant. I've got to say, the captain came out and she was a very young lady. And I looked and I thought, you know what, in a storm of worse than 30 years, I would prefer a stereotypical 6'2" pilot that would be able to hold the stick.
You're a terrible sexist for even thinking such a thing, Mario.
Andrew, you're not taking this seriously. Maybe I'm being unfair. It's positive, right? Sexist, sure, but still positive, right? Right?
When she landed the plane, I was so proud of her.
Yes, well done. Next hour, we'll be asking, isn't it great that women got the vote? No, it's a good thing. Didn't they do well? Catching, too. The Isle of Man Infrastructure Department, because that's a thing, celebrated not closing a road because, like most women, Storm Eunice changes her mind. Yes, the 1970s called wants their material back. Can we give them the energy crisis too? And bent coppers, I'll make a list. Back to the weather. The media did make it clear it's not just ramping this up because there's knack all else. Show them the maps, Tom.
Red weather alert for Storm Eunice stretches all along the northern coastlines of Cornwall, Devon, Somerset to Bristol and the Severn Estuary.
We're not joking, it's really serious. Well, the weather might be taking the piss a bit. Penis! Maybe that's just me. Anyway, me or the weather might or might not be being very childish, like these guys. Too much fun. Pay attention. You'll miss all the good advice. From the eye, can you drive? Well, no laws against it, mate. No specific laws, anyway. Should probably have a licence and not get tanked up, but buckle up. From the mirror, for God's sake, don't go and make sand castles on the beach. Thanks for that. But someone wasn't listening.
Good afternoon, live from Weston-super-Mare as Storm Eunice continues to batter much of the UK.
Doesn't look that bad. Anyone fancy an ice cream? Not all good news for those on holiday, though.
We don't know yet if our caravan is okay. It could still be there, or it could be a pile of rubble.
I don't think so, mate, unless your caravan's built out of bricks. You were warned in explicit detail by all the channels and papers. Don't say you weren't. What's on the other side?
We're going to go live to a zoo in Cumbria. There it is. Oh, the giraffes. They don't like the wind. They've battened down the hatches. Would you if you were that tall?
Yes, someone please think of the giraffes. Wait, other animals must also be worried.
You can't explain to the cats why there's no power or the lights suddenly go off.
No, or explain anything else to them for that matter. Actually, that's inaccurate. You can explain to them, you just won't know if they're getting it. Not a uniquely weather-related problem. Look, we're not obsessed or anything.
We'll have the rest of the day's news after this short break.
No, you won't. You'll be talking about the fucking weather again. Yes, thank God we've got something to talk about that isn't Partygate, Eastern Europe or COVID.
Josie, you said that the port of Dover is closed. How unusual is it for the whole port to be closed in this way?
It is unusual and there are reasons behind that.
Brexit? The French? No, silly me. The weather again. What about all the new lingo? Red warning, very rare. When was the last? Oh, way back in the mists of time. Or rather, November. Storm Arwen. Remember? No? Ah, well. Also, it's a stingjet storm. Something about Thunderbirds? Nah, just a really windy bit in the middle. Definitely new? No, millions of years old. It's the weather, remember? So the boffins just found out about them? No, 20 years ago. The papers just found out about them. So how bad was it? The media promised devastation similar to 1987. The Great Storm. The worst one ever. And to be honest, I do prefer today's exaggerated rubbish over that year's, well, total fuck-up.
Earlier on today, apparently, a woman rang the BBC and said she heard that there was a hurricane on the way. Well, if you're watching, don't worry, there isn't.
Actually, do worry. There is, or rather was, 18 dead. while the Mail preferred 1990s effort. 47 dead, £3 billion in damage. Yes, that's more like it. So, what happened this time?
Yesterday, as Wales were put in those red warnings that there would be large disruption and destruction. That thankfully hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, not too bad. 4 tragically killed. Lots of places still underwater, which happens every time there's some bad weather. Not what the media was hoping for. But instead of celebrating some kind of victory, it quickly shifted to the next apocalypse. It'll wipe us out next time! There's probably another one on the way right now to get you! Look out, little Jimmy! Speaking of crass, why are we naming the weather now? Gave the storms these weirdly old-fashioned names too. Dudley came first, Franklin last, Eunice was the biggie in the middle.
We'll continue to focus on Storm Eustace as it blows through the United Kingdom.
I had my best mate Dudley, and now I've got my mistress Eugene to Eunice. Sorry.
Yes, Eunice. Silly name anyway. Who came up with that? Apparently, you did. Yes, you. Well, maybe. The Met Office asks you lot for ideas, then publishes a list every year of approved names. Doesn't say how much notice it takes of the plebs. Storm Shitstorm, Stormy McStormface, Storm Stormzy, Stormy Daniels, Storm That's Just Some Fucking Wind Again. I'm still waiting for a response to any of those. Maybe it got blown away in the massive storm that wasn't. Have we always named them? No, since 2014. Why? To terrify us, make them more exciting, give the media something to focus on. No, sorry, I mean to increase awareness, because that's how it works. Hey, have you heard there's a massive storm coming? Get to fuck, mate. Hey, have you heard about Dave the Massive Storm? Shit. Thanks, mate. I'd better batten down the hatches. So, did the media coverage actually do any good? Or bad? Or anything? Like, did we all take it seriously? Well, some did, some didn't. Bit like COVID. Has the media learnt nothing? I'll rephrase that. The media's learnt nothing! Whipping it all up so we're frankly terrified only means one thing. A big divide just emerged. On the one side, those who hid under the bed and told people to stay the fuck at home! And those who went out naked with a tin hat, a kite and a set of golf clubs because you're not telling me what to do! Now, maybe it's because I spend all my time trawling through the sewer that is mainstream news, but I'm finding reality increasingly unhinged. Like most, I'm on the lookout for an escape, but unlike most, not with meditation, wine or crack. I've got something new going on. I pixelate myself and do everything I'm doing right now, but without it being real. Hi, I'm Rhys Lawton, and this is Mainscream Media, watching the mainstream news so you don't have to. Nice one. Actually, does this mean I can put my feet up a bit? Let that tediously handsome guy do the work? Oh, no, it doesn't. I'm still him, aren't I? Aren't I? So what the fuck is this nonsense? Well, the feverish wet dream of a sci-fi fan. Guilty. The sci-fi bed. I haven't wet the bed in 3 days. Curse you, Eunice! The fantasy is now reality. Or rather, the fantasy is now not reality. No, it's a thing, honestly. It's called the Metaverse, from the company formerly known as Facebook, run by the cursed mannequin avatar formerly known as Mark Zuckerberg.
I believe the Metaverse is the next chapter for the internet. And it's the next chapter for our company, too.
Very lifelike, I think you'll agree. Always looks like he's hiding something. And he is. Facebook. Facebook rebranding as Meta was always on the cards. Avoiding taxes, harvesting data, damaging civilization and destroying children's minds. That'll do it.
It's still about bringing people together.
That's one way of putting it, mate. What's Metaverse?
Imagine you put on your glasses or headset and you're instantly in your home space.
Or take them off and instantly be in my home. No, it's a virtual world online where I'm me, but as an avatar like Mark there. Wonder what he looks like in real life. Wait, he wasn't an avatar this whole time? The media got very excited. A brave new world where you can do all the stuff you do right now, but in a virtual world too.
Hey, Rhys, this metaverse stuff is expensive. Could you lend me some cash? You know, I just need some for some, I don't know, for a virtual house, virtual clothes, virtual food, and a virtual holiday for some virtual me time.
Bloody hell. Sounds like twice the stress, to be honest. Oh, he's gone again. Part-timer. This sounds a lot like our chat about NFTs. Art, video, even stuff in virtual form. Is any of this stuff really here? Do I actually own anything? What do I actually own? All the stuff no one's telling us. Is metaverse the future of fashion, asks a newspaper that should really be asking, who the fuck pays £20,000 for a pair of trainers that doesn't exist? Celebs got excited, so plebs got excited. Some fan, paid over 300 grand to be Snoop Dogg's virtual neighbour. So you can, what? Apparently go to a virtual party at his virtual place. Have a virtual smoke. Maybe a virtual gin and juice. Delicious. Brands are cashing in too. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Gucci, loads of them are getting in on the glorious race to see where capitalism goes next, or perhaps goes to die. But there's a dark side too. All the problems of reality are present and correct in the virtual world.
You're going to really feel like you're there with other people.
Which is all well and good until the racist pervs show up. But I thought everyone would be nice in the virtual world. Really, Mark? Have you ever been online? Sure, there's nice stuff, but it's mostly potty mouths, pornography and cat videos. Check my Twitter feed. Early signs of this in Roblox, like a metaverse for kids. Nazi sex parties in digital strip clubs, anyone? Was always going to be a bit ropey with the silent G. So, need a fall guy. Sorry, I mean front man. Can't be Zucks. Everyone knows there's a praying mantis behind his avatar. So step forward, master of the metaverse, Sir Nicholas Clegg, or policy advisor on global affairs. Whatever that means. He does have experience. Remember when he got shafted by another smooth-faced dystopian avatar, David Cameron, in a virtual rose garden with a virtual promise on tuition fees that somehow got lost in the Matrix? Or did that all really happen? I feel like Nick also used to hate data mining and online surveillance. Even got some stick about it from the Tories. Ignore them, mate. Yes, Nick seemed to be on the side of the little guy, right up until the point where Meta, paid him a ton of money. Coincidence?
Hey, Mark. Hope I'm not interrupting. You got a sec? Have you got Oppie with you?
I think Oppie's still in the virtual forest, but I always have time for you. What's going on?
Of course he's got time for you. He owns you. In fact, it looks like he's holding you hostage somewhere. Hold up a copy of today's Virtual Times. Oh, Oppie, in case you're confused, is Mark's virtual cartoon mouse. Really. I don't have time for him or them, but basically Nick and Mark say Meta's great, which is good news. The upcoming online safety bill could get very tricky for Nick's boss. But luckily, Nick has all the info on the new stuff. A bit too much of the info, actually. In fact, did we change his access rights? We did, didn't we? Anyway, nothing to worry about. All this metaverse stuff is very responsible, very safe, and very fun. Party! Looks about as fun as, well, going to a party online. But if, like me, you hate the whole being around real people and would rather just stay at home in your pants, result! And as governments, corporations and big tech make our reality increasingly unbearable, why not check out the virtual world where they're all waiting for you? What's the worst that could happen?
I'm sorry, Rhys. You're in too deep. I'm going to have to kill you now.
Have you noticed how much news is just, made up? I don't mean total lies. I mean the skill hacks have for making a story out of absolutely nothing at all. It usually starts with a thing. Might be old news, might be new, but totally pointless. Might be something you never even considered because, well, it's not interesting. Can't really make it a story. But then, the real bit of magic. Ask someone else their take. Bonus points if they're an expert. Doesn't matter if they're not. And concoct an epic amount of copy around that single view. Hey presto, a brand new story. Take this. Kate Middleton's teeth aren't totally straight, are they? No, look closely. I didn't notice either. I'm being serious, look. Okay, it's something you didn't know before. Work with me a bit. Woman has slightly crooked teeth that you might not notice. Is that a story? No. But let's ask a very picky dentist. Yes, really, not even Kate's dentist either. And the story becomes Kate's imperfect teeth show how British she is. Not a perfect Hollywood smile. And those minor imperfections only make her look even better. See? By asking an expert a whole article. Probably more tomorrow. Stay tuned. Let's do another royal one. That awful Meghan's changed Harry, hasn't she? He was a right laugh till he met her. Loved a drink, loved getting naked, loved dressing up as a Nazi. Everyone says he was more fun before, but that's old stuff. The new angle? Evil Meghan controls Harry with her body language. Yes, she's got a secret hand gesture to tell him when to stop speaking. It's like this. Stop talking, Harry. Says who? Oh, don't tell me. A body language expert. Why, yes, the improbably named Jesus Enrique Rosas. He's even spotted that Meg does long blinks when she's bored and gets a bit impatient with Harry sometimes, much like a house cat. Any of that true? Does it matter? The guy said it. Let's run it. The Royals are great for this game. They rarely comment on anything, so you're on pretty safe ground if you've got someone to just make stuff up. Sorry, I mean, give you their expert opinion. Let's go further afield. What about a good old conspiracy? Flight MH370. It disappeared in 2014, remember? No one's got a clue. Which means every now and then we can ask some guy what he thinks and pretend it's all solved. Not just any guy, usually one who's looked at it, read a few articles. Actually, sometimes not. And here he is. This guy, whoever he is, doesn't matter, has cracked it. What have you got, mate? New data? No. Had a look at the old data. It's in the sea. I think they've looked there, mate. Oh, they've missed it, he says. Have another look. OK, then. Yes, chaps, let's get the deep-sea diving gear ready again. This guy thinks we're a bunch of dicks. Oh, the authorities don't want to know, he says. It's too hot for them. Yeah, must be that. And let's try Brexit. Everyone's got a view on that. Endless new variations. EU plots to punish us. Those unelected bureaucrats have a plan to break up the UK, and they don't give a shit. So, what's the secret plot? Who are these EU insiders you've quoted in the headline? You've guessed it. There isn't one. There aren't any. And the quote's just from some guy they've asked. In this case, they asked DUP MP Sammy Wilson. And I'm not saying he's not great. I am saying that if there was a secret EU plot, he probably wouldn't be the inside man. He gave the paper his usual take on the Northern Ireland Protocol, again. Hates it, if you didn't know already. You know the protocol. That thing we negotiated, signed up to, then told the EU where to stuff it. True to form, Sammy had a dig at the EU for not solving it. Bloody cheek of them, right? It's all a plot to punish us by, not cleaning up our mess. Let's do a follow-up. The deputy leader of Sinn Féin says all that protocol stuff could mean a united Ireland, and Britons are furious. It'd mean a complete collapse of the economy in Northern Ireland. Actually, by Britons, they mean one Briton. An economist? Not Sammy again. Come on, you guys. No, not even he. Actually, just some reader commenting on the paper's website. If all that's getting a bit too newsy, let's finish with something a bit more lightweight. Here's how you generate an entire news cycle based on one person's opinion. Sometimes not even that. Take cuddly Eamon Holmes. Why did he really leave this morning for upstart muck-up merchant GB News? Does it matter? Let bygones be. No! Ask him! Eamon exclusively revealed to the Mail he doesn't know. Yep, no idea at all. That's story number one. Story number two. The Mail on Sunday did the follow-up. Asked an ITV insider if they could shed any light on it. Didn't even name them either. But whoever it was gave them the real reason. The viewers hated him. Poor guy. So, thought the Sun, let's see what Eamon makes of that. Story number three. Eamon hits back. It is not true that viewers didn't want to watch him. In fact, if you've got a minute, he's got research showing everyone loves him. Yes, you do, Eamon. Actually, Eamon, while I've got you, do you think Kate Middleton's got weird teeth? Bonjour, Pierre. Où est le beach? Je voudrais le massive plate of chips avec curry sauce. Chop, chop, garçon. Ah, it's wonderful speaking a foreign language, especially if you can just fill in the words you don't know with good old English. The French are a bit cross about it. The Académie Française, the centuries-old French language police, in fact. Bit like the Illuminati if they were less concerned with running the world and more anal about vocab. All those English words finding their sneaky way into French life. And our mainstream media loves it. There's the boring Guardian reporting the news. The Times sticking in some French to show it can parler français, and the Telegraph celebrating like we've done them over at Waterloo again. Which words? Lots of COVID stuff, actually. Le cluster, le testing, le following the science? Not really. Just any English ones. This tête-à-tête with Le Frenchies plus ça change, an annual event where they bid adieu to the latest lingo and our media revels in the merd storm. Clickbait and spoiler have already bitten le dust, as has le hashtag. Not banned, of course, just the French saying, we've got our own words, why don't you use them? But it's highly political. Again, nothing new. Old President Jacques Chirac took the moral high ground back in the noughties. In fact, he once walked out of a meeting when a French business leader gave a speech in English. Because, like, embezzlement and cheating on your wife are one thing, speaking English, mon Dieu. Yes, very political in the noughties. Remember French rugby legend Sébastien Chabal laying down the law?
Ask you a question in English?
No.
No?
We are in France. We speak French.
Joke's on you, mate. You just spoke English. Ah, got ya. Now it's all back on the agenda thanks to the French presidential elections. I know what you're thinking. Bit niche, bit like right-wing, the kind of thing Nigel Farage does here, none of that foreign market, etc. Well, sure, but you've got a choice of these three. Emmanuel Macron's centre-right En Marche, Marine Le Pen's far-right Rassemblement National, and Eric Zemmour's I can't believe they're that far-right Reconquête. He's a funny guy, is Eric. If by funny you mean really, really offensive. Thinks white blokes like him are under attack. Loves the great replacement theory, the one about Muslims taking over. Even has 2 convictions for hate speech. That's how committed Eric is. Both Le Pen and Zemmour spotted Macron's Achilles heel. Or maybe that's too Greek now. Anyway, his love of English. No, really. At least by their standards. Macron angered many of his compatriots with a speech in 2014 about making his country la start-up nation, using the franglais to appeal to the kids who, love Britain? Not sure he thought that through. But his rivals are capitalising. Le Pen and Zemmour never use it themselves, while Marine's promising to ban franglais from adverts if she wins. And that's why it's so high on the agenda. Who says democracy doesn't give you a choice? Vive le, difference? There was a more sensible option in this whole shitstorm. Valérie Pécresse, seen as Macron's main centre-right challenger, right up until she gave a speech about the Great Replacement too. And Zemmour wanted a quiet word about stealing his act, which all shows how mainstream this is really going. France's Donald Trump, they call Eric. He prefers another comparison. Step forward, Boris Johnson, the guy he really feels kinship with. Himself no stranger to a bit of casual Islamophobia, remember? They look like letterboxes, bank robbers, don't they, Bojo? You know what? It could be the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Donnez-moi un break.
Or maybe not. Yeah, sorry, just 1 minute, trying to finish this fun game. No, wrong one. No, just too many letters. That's not even a word. Ugh. Sorry. Guessing the Wi-Fi password. Minutes of fun. No, of course, I'm doing Wordle, the word game thing. Guess a word, 5 letters, 6 goes. Correct letters in the right place go green, right ones in the wrong place are yellow. Money, that's got the M, and there's an E somewhere. Melts, yeah, there they are. Medic, that's 4. Media. Yeah, media. Yeah, that'd do it. Easy. Easier because I made that one myself. Now I've just got to post it on Twitter to let everyone know how clever I am. Got to beat Robert Peston, that's all I care about. A new day, a new word. Just one, part of the fun. Don't want too much of a good thing. Sounds a bit shit. The kind of thing that you do a few times, get bored, do something else. The media's obsessed. Day 1 was great. Fun new game. New York-based developer Josh Wordle, get it? Invented it for his partner. Bet she was thrilled. No, I'm sure she was. And he's British. Welsh, actually, so let's bask in his glory. All started in October. Millions of players today. Then he sold it to the New York Times. Why, says the Times? Well, why not? 7 figures, nice one. Everyone's playing it. Everyone wants to be bang on the zeitgeist. Too many letters. Every hack wants a piece of it, even those doing the serious news. Look at this. Saved by Wordle. The 80-year-old woman rescued from a hostage situation. How? The word was a clue to her whereabouts? The kidnapper's name? No! She didn't text her kid to tell them she'd done it. So they realised she must be in trouble. Well done. Not really anything to do with Wordle, was it? All still great news, though. And then the New York Times ruined it. Or at least the media thinks it did. Why? Well, it all started when it emerged, "You might have to pay for it." Has the owner said that? No, but it might soon. Well, sure, but if my dog had wheels, he'd be a car. Okay, he wouldn't, but you get the gist. Now there's a daily row about the word. It feels a bit like hacks arrive at work, compare Wordle notes, and cook up a story to write about whatever it is. Then blame the new owner. Some have a grain of truth. Americanisms, like favour without the U. Fucked me over big time, says one user who doesn't have enough actual pain in his life. Or make it part of the culture wars. Those Americans are removing bad words. Are they? Like what? Words like slave, wench, lynch, bitch, and sluts. Good. No, it's a disaster. Is it? Okay, so rude and obscure words are out. Or maybe they aren't. The next day, the word was too obscure. A really bizarre answer that only Bob the Builder would get. Like what? Cork. Okay, so I've never heard of it either, but learning new words. Good! Cork is a material or substance used for filling in the gaps around the edge of something. What the fuck is a cork? Seriously? I just told you. Scroll up a bit. There it is again. The more cerebral papers, or the ones that think they are, thought it was a class issue. All working class people know what cork is. Those bloody metropolitan elites don't have a clue what real people... Seriously, you're thinking way too hard about this. What about the day there were two answers? Now this is really fucking annoying, isn't it? Yes, two answers. One on the New York Times site, another on the original version. Aroma or agora. Or maybe does it matter? Day after, worst Wordle ever. What was it? Shake. Why is it hard? Too many possibilities. Well, you are guessing a word. It's luck, right? While the next day, the word doesn't exist. What was the answer? Swill. I think it does. Maybe it's too British, even though we said this was getting too American. I see. There are too many possible options again, aren't there? Kind of a flaw in the whole thing. Try a crossword instead. There's no let-up with the fake news, even though there is some properly important stuff around. But sod it, why break the habit of a lifetime? At 10, one man's quest, in fact the only man's quest, for Britain's best bin. Dave Clark, probably not the octogenarian drummer. In fact, it's definitely not. This guy's literally bin-sane, according to the chirpily un-PC headline. Dave rates bins for size, location, and design. His favourite? His first. It's like your first girlfriend, the one you never forget, says Dave. Inexplicably, Dave's a father of two and still married. And she wants a chat about this first girlfriend you've never forgotten, mate. At 9, fisticuffs at the boxing. Well, duh. But no, not Amir Khan or Kell Brook. That was just a sideshow. You know Phil Foden, the England footballer? Well, not him either. Someone lamped his mum, didn't they? Most exciting bout in the venue.
Who's calling him? No one. Yeah,
Who won the actual fight? Doesn't say. At 8, not quite a food shop teams up with not quite a clothes shop. Greg's the Bakers is diversifying. Please, can they start with loaves? I looked a right idiot asking for a New York sourdough. No, eat this T-shirt. Buy it in Primark. The story's so shite the papers even forgot it ran last week too. Greg's clothing is something our customers have continually asked for, lied a spokesman. At 7, Winter Olympics news. Gold medals? Forget it. Doping? Nah, mate, too obvious. How about cross-country skier freezes his knob? Well, because that's just a bit personal and embarrassing, isn't it? No! He's been pictured several times training in his underpants, gasps the paper. I'm not an expert, but I think I see his problem, if not his penis. At 6, bland music news. Ed Sheeran? Close enough. He's making plans for when he dies. You and me both, Ron, mate. No, old, or rather young Ed's got a rather morbid taste for it. He's got planning permission for a 9-foot by 6-foot chamber, enough to fit 2 bodies under a slab in the floor. I mean, we're assuming it's for him, and a lucky victim. Get someone from the council to check his drains. At 5, Jeremy Vine's taken a beating.
I've been in the wars.
No, you've come off your bike. Man falls off bicycle. Daytime telly guy and scourge of the taxi turning left bites the dust. Yes, Jezza warned us about those car Nazis and we didn't listen. Actually, the villain here was his own ego. He was riding a fucking penny farthing. Those bikes don't take prisoners.
I'm going to spend the rest of my time destroying you.
No, that's pen farthing. This thing has a big wheel and a little one. Look at me, I'm riding a Victorian death trap that went out of fashion because it looked silly and was highly dangerous. Anyone else involved? No, just Jeremy. Didn't see that one coming, said no one, except Jeremy. At 4, an actor's playing someone in a thing. Johnny Lee Miller, you know, Trainspotting, is now former Prime Minister John Major in The Crown. How does he do it? Well, acting, darling. He pretends to be him. Anyway, let's use it as an excuse to fill the pages with pictures of other actors being other people. Bit more specific, politicians. There's the one from X-Files as Liz Truss, Meryl Streep as Gillian Anderson, Gary Oldman as Boris Johnson as Ken Branagh. I think we get the idea. At 3, Disney news. Not the latest movie. An old toy's been found in a skip. Yes, an original Mickey Mouse. Doesn't look a lot like him. Wonder how they knew. This was found by a bin man wearing the mouse's trademark gloves and button shorts. Mickey, I mean. The bin man wasn't some kind of superfan. And, says a local museum curator, we hope he can go to a professional for some work. I.e., you look like shit, Mick. Get your act together. At 2, Daily Express readers. Something lovely for you. No, not migrant nets again. It's that nice Claire Balding. Yes, she's gay, but a good sort. We like her. Remember? Yes. Anyway, rambling about racism with Claire Balding. Claire has a good old rant about political correctness gone mad with Jim Davidson and the late Bernard Manning. No, sorry. Sorry, readers. False advertising. Claire has a chat with 2 guys who love the countryside. One old and white, the other young and black. Yes, I know! But the countryside's for everyone, isn't it? No, it is. Maybe just turn the page. Something... Oh, brilliant. The Travellers again. And relax. And at 1... The Sun exclusive, if you can call it that. Man in Devon isn't hit by a truck.
You got me foot stuck! Move forward!
Doesn't look that bad, mate. Doesn't look like news either. And now, for my Scream of the Week.
This party trick that you used to do, which was basically exposing yourself in front of colleagues, which you thought was very, very funny at the time. And all of this came out, and it would seem to many observers that that kind of sunk your career. And yet, here we are talking about brand new projects. How have you turned it around?
Well, I don't think it's Muse turned it around. I think the public understand that it was tomfoolery and it was a joke and silliness and wasn't sexual harassment.
So that's me, Rhys Lawton. And until next time, I will be watching the mainstream news so you don't have to. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And stay safe because, well, there's a lot of media out there.